I got two of them.
Good morning. You
Can
are
you set up okay?
experiencing the fellowship of spirit. I'm going to uh, mute everyone,
So I'm on here twice.
and that's why, so that you can go ahead and talk and you won't bother the rest of us if you're local. I mean, if you're place. There we go. All right. Anyway, this is Fellowship of Spirit coming to you from Farmington, New Mexico, and we are delighted that you're with us, and we hope that you will have a great time today. Uh, we're going to have a dynamic presentation for you today. We've got Susan Barnes is going to offer our opening prayer. Carol Littletree will have our spiritual reading, and Shay Johnson is going to have our music, and she will be singing and playing the piano. And Margaret Cheasebro will have our message. And I'm Ron Holloway, and I'll be your moderator. And so, without further ado, are there any announcements, Jerry? No announcements, other than it is just a gloriously bright day here in San Juan County. It's already warm. We've been having over 100-degree temperatures almost every day for a couple of weeks, and I think most of us are kind of probably pretty much done with that. We'd like for it to cool off a little bit, so hopefully it will soon. It's not going to be this 100 degrees in January, so we'll just have to remember back about how hot it was. Anyway, thank you very much, and okay, we're going to have our prelude now, and it's Voice Still and Small by John Corrado, performed by Shay Johnson. All right, thank you. All right. Okay, Susan's going to give us our opening prayer.
We can all take a deep breath and just release it. Creator, Mother, Father, God, we open our hearts and our minds to you to show us divine guidance. We give thanks and appreciation for all the blessings that you have given us, for all of the challenges that have made us stronger and better people. We give thanks for the opportunity to be together, to share our family with love and unity, to find that oneness of all things. We give thanks for all of the great weather that you have sent to us, for here, the rains, for the warmth, for all the things that help our Mother Earth to grow and to blossom. We give thanks, Creator, for all that you have given in the past, in the present, and in the future. For all these things, we are truly blessed. Namaste.
Thank you, thank you. Okay. Let's do our reflective moment. Repeat after me, it's in your thing.
Hymn.
You got a hymn first? Yeah, we do. Okay, go ahead. Song, go ahead.
Okay, this is gonna be in the binder. How can I keep from singing?
Thank you, Shay. And now we'll do our reflecting mode. Love produces a flow of energy that I now feel. I love others more than ever, and I feel privileged to be here. Love flows from one person to another as we create an atmosphere of holiness, and so it is. Okay. Carol Littletree has our.
Is she on? Is she on?
I'm here.
I got it. Thanks.
I'm here.
Go ahead,
I'm here.
Carol.
Okay. This is a little poem called Family. It's by Raphael Venzois. We are living, learning, and growing together. We do our best to keep our word and teach by example. We strive to act with integrity, honesty, and consideration towards others and ourselves. We are taking care of each other as we take care of others. We respect who we are and strive to make the most of the gifts we are given. We honor each other's talents, though they may be different from our own. We strive to be considerate, constant source of encouragement and acknowledgement for one another. We love each other not for what we do, but for what we are at the very core of our beings. We accept that being human, mistakes happens, and when they do, we strive to find the blessings within the opportunity, for we know that understanding is a valuable result of learning the lessons of life. As we endeavor is not take each other for granted. We are eternity visual. We have the time to listen to each other. So we are not surprised by growth and change. We give thanks for each other each day, and we have together and for the many blessings in our lives. We stand by each other and love each other no matter what. We are family. That's it. Namaste.
Thanks, Carol.
Mhm.
Okay. Now we have Gather the Spirit. It's in the binder. Thank you, Shay. Okay. Margaret, did you get your microphone?
No,
I didn't.
oh, yes, I did, I got it.
You got it. All right, so we're in good shape. Okay, we have our beloved Margaret Cheasebro is going to give us our message today.
Hey, Margaret.
Let's welcome her. Yes.
Oh, I'm glad to see all of you here, my goodness. Scott, how good that you're back. Love it. Ginny and Linda. Oh, I mean, I'm not recognizing you and I should.
Cynthia.
Yeah. You look different. How good to see you, Cynthia. And Marion and Steve and Shay loved your music. And of course, Jerry back there. And Ron, it's good to be here with all of you. So, when we're uncertain about how to deal with difficulties, when it seems like there's no way out, that's the time to spend serious moments looking for answers. When you seek guidance, you are likely to find it. Often it comes during times of meditation. Sometimes it happens in other ways. It's not always easy to find that guidance, but when you find it, it is worth all the effort. When I was thinking about how to present this talk, I couldn't figure out how to do it. So one morning, as I was meditating, the thought came to me, tell the story of Gideon. Well, it's been one of my favorite Bible stories ever since I was a kid. So I followed the intuitive guidance, and it worked. During meditation, we are more easily connected with our higher self, our inner being, that part of us that is one with God. When we listen while we're in that state of meditation, we are more likely to find the guidance we seek. So the story of Gideon occurs in Judges chapter 6 and 7. The events occurred sometime between 1179 and 1154 BC. So people had different understandings about many things way back then. In the story, Gideon had huge problems, but he triumphed after he took the time to listen to God's guidance. In the process, he saved his fellow Israelites from starving. Gideon was a member of the tribe of Manasseh, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. He came from an average family and had never accomplished much of anything. In spite of that, or maybe because of it, God called him to save his fellow Israelites. At the time of this story, the Israelites were having a tough time dealing with neighbors who kept attacking them. Whenever the Israelites planted their crops, the Midianites and others camped on the Israelites' land, bringing their tents and their camels, and they purposefully trampled the crops and destroyed them, leaving the Israelites without food. This happened many times. Without crops for food, the Israelites faced starvation. So they cried out to God for help. God answered by sending them a prophet to rebuke them. The prophet told them they were having so much trouble because they kept disobeying God by worshiping local gods instead of the one and only God, Jehovah. The people listened with open hearts to the message. Because they listened, God sent an angel to talk to Gideon, who was threshing wheat in a wine press to keep the wheat hidden from the Midianites. The Midianites would have destroyed the wheat if they knew it was there. The angel greeted Gideon this way, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Gideon definitely did not feel like a mighty warrior. On top of that, he was not happy with God for letting the Midianites destroy the Israelites' crops. He told the angel, "If the Lord is with us, why is all this happening to us?" The angel didn't argue with him. He just said, "Go in the strength you have and save Israel out of Midian's hand. Am I not sending you?" Gideon could hardly believe what he was hearing. "How can I save Israel?" he asked. "My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family." The Lord, speaking through the angel, assured Gideon that God would be with him and that together they would strike down all the Midianites. Gideon still wasn't too sure about taking on such a huge task. He wanted to know if he was really talking to God through the angel. So he decided to make an offering to God and see what God would do with it. He told the angel, "Please don't go away until I come back and set my offering before you." The angel agreed to wait. So Gideon went home and cooked a young goat from his father's herd and made some bread. He put the food in a basket and brought it back to the angel. The angel told Gideon to put the meat and the bread on a rock and then to pour broth over them. When Gideon did that, the angel used a staff in his hand to touch the bread and the meat. Fire flared out of the rock and consumed the meat and bread. Then the angel disappeared. Now Gideon realized he really had been talking with the angel of God. He began to get scared. Israelites believed that if they saw the face of God, they would die. Gideon had seen the angel's face, so he figured he must have seen God's face. But the angel came back to assure Gideon he had nothing to fear. He would not die. Gideon was relieved. To commemorate the event, he built an altar to the Lord. That altar stood for hundreds of years. Gideon's father was one of the many Israelites who had built altars to a local god called Baal. Beside that altar, Gideon's father had placed an Asherah pole made of wood to honor a local goddess named Asherah. Later that night, the Lord, speaking through the angel, told Gideon to take a bull from his father's herd, one that was 7 years old. He told Gideon to tear down the altar his father had built to Baal and replace it with an altar to the Lord. He also told Gideon to cut up the Asherah pole and use the wood in it to cook the bull from his father's herd as a burnt offering to the Lord. Gideon knew this would make his father very angry. So he and his servants carried out the angel's instructions in the dead of night. The next morning, when the men of the town found the demolished altar to Baal and the newly built one to the Lord with the burnt offering on it, they were very upset. So they investigated to find out who did this awful thing. It didn't take them long to learn that Gideon had done it. The townspeople stormed over to Gideon's father and said, "Gideon must die for what he's done." But Gideon's dad was not about to let them kill his son. So he told the angry crowd, "Are you going to plead Baal's cause? If Baal really is a god, he can defend himself when someone breaks down his altar." The people decided Gideon's father was right. "Baal will punish you," they told Gideon, but Gideon wasn't worried. He had done what the Lord asked him to. So the next time the Midianites destroyed the Israelites' crops, God intervened. He called upon Gideon to save his people. Gideon took up the challenge. He blew a trumpet and sent out word to all the people in the tribe of Manasseh to come and help him. And he also asked 3 other tribes to help. Though Gideon was acting boldly, he wasn't sure how successful the Israelites would be in a battle against the hordes of Midianites. He told God he wanted some proof that the Israelites would win. He asked for a sign. I will place a wool fleece on the threshing floor tonight, he told God. In the morning, if there is dew only on the fleece and the ground around it is dry, then I will know you will save Israel by my hand, as you said. That night, Gideon spread out the fleece, which came from a sheep. The next morning, when he came to check on it, there was so much dew on the fleece that he wrung out a bowl full of water from it. The ground around it was dry. But Gideon still wasn't too sure about taking on all those Midianites. He needed another sign. So he said to God, "Do not be angry with me. Let me make just one more request. Allow me one more test with the fleece. This time, make the fleece dry and the ground around it covered with dew." That night, he spread out the fleece. When he came back the next morning, the fleece was dry, but the ground around it was wet. So Gideon felt confident enough to do what the Lord had told him to do. He gathered 32,000 men from 4 different tribes who were willing to help him fight the invaders. But God didn't want the Israelites to boast that they had driven out the Midianites all by themselves. He wanted them to realize that God had saved them. So the Lord told Gideon, "You have too many men for me to deliver Midian into your hands. Tell the soldiers, if any of them are afraid, they can go home." When Gideon made the announcement, 22,000 men left, leaving only 10,000 to fight. Gideon felt betrayed. Over 2/3 of the men had left. How was he going to overcome the invaders with so few men? But God still thought Gideon had too many men. He told Gideon to take them to the water, and he would show Gideon which men to send home. When they reached the water, the men were thirsty. God told Gideon, "Separate those who lap the water with their tongues like a dog from those who kneel down to drink." God told him to keep the kneelers and send home the lappers. The lappers, they were in front of this stream, so the lappers would use both of their hands to support themselves as they leaned down to lap the water with their tongues. So that meant they had to lay down their weapon. They weren't ready in case of a sudden attack because their weapon was on the ground. The kneelers cupped water into the palm of one hand and brought that hand to their mouth, while with the other hand, they held on to their weapon, so they would be ready if there was a sudden attack. What Gideon observed as the men drank was disastrous. Only 300 men knelt, filled the palm of their hand with water and brought it to their mouth to drink while holding on to the weapon with the other hand. How could he face the invaders with only 300 men? God assured him that with those 300 men, he would put the Midianites in their hands. The Midianites were camped below the Israelites in a valley. They looked like a sea of tens of thousands of warriors, camels, and tents. Gideon wondered what he'd gotten himself into. That night, God told Gideon, "Go by yourself to their camp tonight, because I am going to give it into your hands. If you're afraid to go by yourself, Bring your servant with you and listen to what the Midianites are saying." So Gideon and his servant snuck down to an outpost of the camp. As they listened, they heard one Midianite tell his friend, "I had a dream. In the dream, a round loaf of barley bread came tumbling into the Midianite camp. It struck the tent with such force that the tent overturned and collapsed." His friend started to look really scared, and he said, "This can be nothing but the sword of Gideon, the Israelite. God has given the Midianites and the whole camp into Gideon's hands." Much encouraged, Gideon and his servant went back to the 300 Israelites. He divided them into 3 companies. He gave each of the men trumpets and jars with lit torches inside. He told the men to station themselves at intervals of some distance apart so that they made a circle around the huge Midianite camp. At Gideon's signal, they blew their trumpets and shouted, "For the Lord and for Gideon." Then they broke their jars, revealing the torches. The noise and the lights made it sound like there were thousands of Israelites. In a panic, the Midianites ran, crying in fear. They were so scared that they began fighting each other. Gideon and his men pursued the Midianites. And Gideon he sent messengers out to say, "Come, help us get rid of these Midianites." And so the Israelites were victorious. The Midianites did not bother them again. Gideon and his men could see that God had given them the victory. Who but God could have vanquished the Midianites with only 300 men? One of the deeper meanings of that story is that even though you face such huge obstacles in your life that you don't know how you can overcome them, with God's help, you can succeed. And your success can be pretty spectacular. In any situation, look deeper for the greater understanding, the divine view. Spend time in meditation. During meditation, you may find solutions for whatever problem you are facing. Those solutions, those intuitive thoughts, are gifts from God. They give you the guidance you seek. Don't look at all the obstacles. Don't look at your dwindling resources like Gideon did. Don't look at the overwhelming odds. Pray and ask God for answers. Meditate and be open to what intuitive, God-given ideas come your way. You might be facing an illness. Instead of focusing on how bad you feel, how daunting the disease is, how the odds of getting well seem stacked against you, change your focus. Yogananda was a Hindu monk, yogi, and guru from India who came to the United States and introduced millions to the teachings of meditation. He recommended that instead of focusing on the symptoms, we think this thought: I am the infinite that has become the body. The body, as a manifestation of spirit, is the ever youthful, healthy body. Whenever you're in pain, feel weak, or just don't feel good, instead of focusing on how you feel, say, I am the infinite that has become the body. The body, as a manifestation of spirit, is the ever youthful, healthy body. The more you repeat this, the less you will focus on how your body feels. It changes the way you think about things. It helps you see a better pathway. I have a friend who has learned that when she focuses on what she wants, more of it comes into her life. She grew up in a family that was deeply involved with their church. Her parents sacrificed time and money to be of service to their church. There was little time for fun. Now, in her 50s, my friend really wants to have fun in her life. So throughout the day, she focuses on the thought, I have fun today. Fun shows up in her life in wonderful, delightful ways. She has discovered that her thoughts are powerful and that they bring her what she thinks about. If you feel overwhelmed by things that aren't going the way you want them to, look deeper. What do you really want? Focus on that. Be ready to see more of it manifest in your life. No matter what problem you may be facing, take time to meditate and pray so you can find divine guidance. There is always a wiser, more insightful way of looking at everything. Instead of looking at the problem, look deeper to find creative solutions. Whatever the solutions are, they may surprise you with their simplicity and ingenuity. Remember the story of Gideon. In spite of the odds, he saved his people from starvation. With divine help, you too can overcome whatever challenges you face.
Thank you. Anyone like to talk to Margaret?
Thank you, Margaret. That was wonderful. I mean, just, performing with you on the piano has been wonderful too, but this is kind of typifies what I've been going through for the last couple of months, because I've come across these intractable problems, and I have taken and gotten humble and asked God and somehow found a way through. And you have just put it in such great, great talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve, so
Steve.
much.
Anyone else? Well, we thank you, Margaret. It was wonderful.
Thank you,
We
Margaret.
really appreciate it.
Margaret, thank you. Me.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a great talk.
John, do you have something you'd like to say?
Someone's
Well,
talking.
Margot has something. Hello,
Hold
Margaret.
on. Hold on. Carol, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. It's exactly what I needed also. And you know why.
Carol.
So thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, go
Thank you.
ahead, John. You and Margot.
Margot.
Thank you so much, Margaret. Your message meant a lot to me today. It's like you wrote it just for me. God bless you, darling. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Margot.
Thanks, Margot.
Anyone else? It was a wonderful talk, sweetie. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay. Now we have the song Gather the Spirit from the binder. We did do that.
The
Where's the
oneness
next
of
one?
everything.
What is?
The oneness of everything?
The oneness of everything. You're right.
Yes, in the binder.
What?
Far beyond the grasping hands, far light to meet the eye, past the reaches of the mind. There find the key to nature's harmony, in architecture's sacred light.
you, Shay. And thank you for all of your music today. It was wonderful. Okay. Do our celebration of abundance. Okay, so we put over our heart that which we intend to contribute. And repeat after me. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive through infinity. I am prosperous. I remind you that if you're unable to be here today, that you could still send in an offering and contribute your energy to Fellowship of Spirit by mailing them to 2009 East 13th Street, Farmington, New Mexico. We get it here and it'll be locked up in a secured mailbox, so there's no problem. We ask that you not send cash though, but that checks are okay. All right. I want to remind everyone that we have our Course in Miracles study is on Wednesday nights at 6 o'clock, led by Susan Barnes, and on Zoom. Power of 8 on 6:30 at 6:30 on Thursdays, coordinated by Margaret Cheasebro, all on Zoom. We have our book study on Sunday mornings at 8:45. We're now studying a book by Deepak Chopra, and we're all enjoying it. So there's many ways to experience Course in Miracles. Experience Fellowship of Spirit, and we hope that you enjoy it as much as we do, and would please come and join in our groups. Okay. We have any announcements? We have no announcements. We're just in the, we're not quite in the dog days of summer, but we're in the middle of summer and we're enjoying it. And we've already had our solstice dinner, and we'll be having in a couple of weeks, we'll have another potluck dinner. But until then, we're just going to continue on to do what we do, spreading light and love and joy throughout the whole community as the best that we can. So now we're going to gather up and we'll close.
Right.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, family all are we. So let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, this begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
May God bless you and keep you until we meet again.
Amen.
See you next week.
Wonderful. Yeah. It's been a while.
Well,